So, how to do measurements within Blender? If you are a CAD user and you are familiar with softwares like CATIA, SolidWorks, Inventor, Fusion, Solid Edge, over there you have the possibility to use the dimensioning tool in order to do also the measurement and also the dimensioning of the components. Now, within Blender, things are a little bit different, and I want to make this video to present the workflow for the measurements. So I will go to File, New, and I will start from scratch. This is Blender 4.2, so this has just been released several days ago. Now, let's see, with the default cube, I will press Tab to go to Edit mode. I will go to Face Selection over here, and I will select this face over here. So press 3 to go to Face Selection, select it. I will press E in order to do a face insert over here, and afterwards I will extrude this like this. I will go to vertex selection and I will select this first vertex, press G for grab, afterwards Z for the axis, and I will position this somewhere over here so we can do some angle measurements. Okay, now I will leave the edit mode by pressing the tab key over here, and we're gonna see the measure tool over here. So we see that this will measure distance and angles. So in order to do a simple length measurement, we can just select 2 points. Now if you're gonna see, if you're gonna move the mouse cursor like this, it will not snap. So we can either use a snapping over here, but if you're gonna read the tooltip, we're gonna see that if you're gonna hold down Control, we can snap directly. So we don't need to use the snapping from Blender. I will also enable cavity over here so we can better visualize the edges. Now, if I will just hold down Control, we see a little circle appearing over there. If I will go over here, it will snap either to a vertex over here on various points on this edge, or I can snap it directly on a surface. So if I want to measure this, I can just hold down the left mouse button, and we're gonna see that the default cube within Blender will have 2 meters. If you want to do an angle measure, we can also just move the mouse over here on an existing dimension. We can hold down the left click, and then we can decide where to position that additional vertex that will give us the angle. If you want to measure an existing angle like this, if you're just gonna start a new measurement, you will have to position those points. For example, I have this edge over here, but I want to measure this angle. Therefore, I will not do another measurement over here. I will just resize this in order to have the angle, have this snapped over there and this over here. And we're going to see an angle of 150 degrees over here. So usually it's better to measure like this, so you can just snap your points around and you can see various angles over here. For example, maybe this as well. Also, if you want to add additional measurements over here, keep in mind that only the last one will be active. So currently this is the active one. As we can see, this is not a dashed line. The previous one is dashed. And if I will just draw a new one, the other will become dashed as well. And again, I have the possibility to snap this. Now, if you're gonna take a look at the tooltip over here, we're gonna see that if you're gonna hold down Shift while dragging the measure tool, this will give us the surface thickness. So if you're gonna hold down Shift, and I will do another measurement over here. So I'm currently still within that. I will need to start a small line over here and afterwards hold down Shift, and we're gonna see over here, we're gonna have the width of the cube 2 meters. If I will move my mouse over here, again, that width will be 2 meters. And if I will move along this face, that will give me that constant thickness. And if I will move it over here, we're gonna see that over here, we have 2.5 meters. And if I will move it over here, this inner inset will only have a width of 1.7 meters. So this is how you can easily do some measurements. This is very convenient, especially if you are working with 3D scans, since we're gonna see Blender has a very good workflow when working on reverse engineering. Now, some other aspects that I want to discuss. For example, over here, we're going to see that with X, we can remove the active ruler. So if you want to delete those, you can do that by pressing X and the final measurement will be deleted. For example, now if I will press X, we're going to see that the last measurement will be deleted. If I will press X again, this will ask me, do you want to delete the selected objects? In this case, that will be the cube. If I will hit delete, it will actually delete the cube. So this is not what we want. If you don't want to hide those, you can always press tab to go within edit mode. As we can see, I'm currently over here within edit mode for this cube, and I will not see the measurements. If I will press tab again and go back within object mode over here, those will again appear over here. If you want to delete an existing measurement over here, initially you have to select it and afterwards press X. As we can see, that became active. And the first X actually deleted that vertex that was added, and the second one will delete the line. So let me just change over here the matcap material for this in order to better see those. So I made the material red and we see those. So again, I can activate this. That created a new one. So I need to go over here, not on the small annotation over here with the angle over here. This made it active. Press X twice and that will delete it. Again, the same workflow over here, and we can easily delete those. Now, let's take a look at some 3D measurements on a 3D scan part. So I'll go over here to File, Import, and I already have a model over here downloaded. So if you're gonna see over here, this will be the Makita case study. This is from Artec 3D Scan database. This is an OBJ file. As we can see, has been scanned in 2018. I will set the value over here for scaling for OBJ to 1. And if I will import this within Blender, we're gonna see the size of this will be quite large. So we're gonna see it over here position. So this will be the scale. Keep in mind that we have 2 meters over there. So the main problem is that Blender is by default set to meters. You can see that over here. If you're gonna go over here within scene, units, we're gonna have the metric system as a default one. So it will be the metric system, so not the imperial, but it will actually also, for length, it will use meters. CAD solutions like CATIA, SolidWorks, and so on will use millimeters over here. So a workflow would be to set this before starting up. Otherwise, you will just have to scale this. So with the Makita case selected over here, if I will press S, this will start the scale tool. And now I can move the mouse around and we can see that I can make this smaller. We're gonna see the value listed onto the top left corner. So this is currently 0.5. And if I want to scale this to the true scale, I can just type in from the numpad. I will type in 0.001. I will press enter and this will scale the case to the true size. Now if I will just press the comma on the numpad, that will zoom me towards the part. And we're gonna see the case will be located over here, and currently this will be at the true scale. So since this is a 3D scan, we see quite a lot of details over here. Also that marking regarding the production batch for this injected part. Now, if you want to do some measurements over here, this is where the default measure from Blender will be limited. And we're gonna see within my next video how we can use the add-on, which is also free and available within Blender, Measure It, and that will offer us a little bit much more, let's say, flexibility and usage. Because over here for this Makita case, if I want to do some measurements, I can zoom in over here, I can hold down control and I can start measure this. For example, I want this diameter to be measured. Now it will be recommended to swap the system if you are a CAD user and mostly you are if you follow my channel, because I mostly do CAD videos. I will swap this over here within the system to millimeters, and now we're gonna see the diameter of this will be 6.8. So we don't have the diameter annotation, but we can do some measurements like this quite good. Again, over here, if I want to measure the thickness of this, I can hold down initially to start one of those lines, and afterwards hold down Shift. And we're gonna see how Blender will display us that thickness. So currently, if I will move my mouse up and down over here, we're gonna see the thickness of that small segment over there. And if I will move around, that will always give me the thickness. So these are not the, let's say, the best solutions, also the best tools, but they are available within Blender, which is free and open source. And I highly recommend that you're gonna do the measurements within a CAD solution, such as Fusion, CATIA, or so on. But keep in mind that Blender has some functionality over here. And we're gonna see within a case study part why Blender is better for reverse engineering than other CAD solutions, especially for some case studies. Okay, so I hope you enjoyed this kind of content. I will position a similar video over here on the left side and a subscribe button to the right. So that's it. Thanks for watching.